Hello, welcome to Sien in the Sun Yoga. Today's yoga is going to be a yoga for kids. I know that kids are probably getting a little bit bored being stuck at home, and it's nice for us to have movement. So this is one of the ways that I thought it would be fun to do that. We can do it in the comfort of our own home, and we don't even need to have a yoga mat. So if you have a towel, or even if you just have a little bit of space on the floor, that you can do this. And I'm going to invite parents and other adults to do this video too. So it's not just for kids, but it is some movement that's just going to kind of bring in the lighter kind of fun side and get us out of our minds a little bit so that we're not thinking as much. So Sagira, my cat, and I are going to be doing yoga with you. And I'm wearing my squirrel tank top this morning because I'm hoping two of my favorite little squirrels, Jade and Asia, are going to be doing this yoga with me too. So if you need to, you can pause and create some space or get a yoga mat or a towel. And then you can also maybe grab like your favorite blanket if you have one, because in the end, we're going to be laying down almost like we're sleeping just for a little bit. And sometimes it's nice to have that cover on top so that we don't get cold. So pause the video, grab that blanket if you need to. You can also grab a favorite stuffed animal if you have one, and then meet me in your space. And you're going to meet me in a seated position, just with your legs crossed, one leg in front of the other. So we're going to start just by closing our eyes if that feels comfortable to you. If you want to keep your eyes open, that's okay too. But what I want you to start to notice is just feel where your body is touching the floor or the mat or the towel. So you just notice that you're kind of sitting in this place. And then we're going to take 5 nice deep breaths. And if you can, if your nose isn't stuffy, you're going to inhale and breathe out through your nose. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, nice and long and slow breathing, 4, 1 more, 5, nice. So if you could pick one word to describe how you're feeling right now, what would that word be? Would it be sleepy, awake, excited, bored, tight? It can be any word that you want. So one word to describe how you're feeling right now. And it could describe an emotion, or it could describe a feeling in your body. So pick one word and then see if you can remember that word all the way to the end of our little stretch session here. And you could even share that word with the other people that you're doing yoga with. And then if your eyes are closed, let's open our eyes. Let's take our arms, let's stretch them nice and wide. Push your arms back so that you feel a little bit of stretch into your arms. Reach your fingertips away and spread your fingertips nice and wide. And then I want you to sit up nice and tall so that your spine is long and you're as tall as you can be. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands, we're going to put them on our knees, we're going to round our spine forward, tuck our chin in, and try and make our backs as big as we can. So we're really rounding through our backs, and you should start to notice some feeling into your back here and maybe into your neck. And then we're going to sit up nice and tall. We're going to reach our arms out one more time, just like we did. Spread through the fingertips, lift. And then maybe even look up. You want to try and make yourself as big as you can here. And then we're going to get small again. We're going to take our hands to our knees. We're going to round through the spine, tuck our bellies in. And then drop your chin down towards your chest and feel that stretch or some sensation, some feeling into your back. And then let's sit up into a seated position again. So we don't have to stretch our arms out this time, but we do want to sit up nice and tall. So notice if you have the habit of slouching down and getting small, and see if you can lengthen out and sit up as tall as you can. Let's take the opposite leg. Let's put it in front just to change things up a little bit. And then we're just going to move from side to side. So now we're stretching through the sides of the torso or the sides of the body. So we're going to take one hand down, it doesn't matter which hand, and we're just going to go from side to side like this. So reaching up and over. and just creating a little bit of wave with the arms. And remember those deep breaths that we started with. So you want to make sure you're still breathing here. So you don't want to hold your breath as you stretch your body. Let's do one more time to each side. If you're doing yoga with other people in your space, you might be high-fiving as you come over. And then we'll sit up nice and tall. We're going to walk our hands forward. And you're going to start to notice that you feel it more into your hips, your legs, maybe even into your low back. Keep walking your hands forward. Keep your body nice and long. And then you're going to breathe out and let your head come down towards the floor. And it doesn't matter if it touches or not. You just want to allow your upper body to hang heavy, kind of like a rag doll. So everything is soft and relaxed and loose. And then let's walk our hands back in. Let's sit up nice and tall. And then let's take the feet about to the edges of the towel or the mat. If you don't have anything that you're using, you're just going to walk your feet a little bit wider than your hips, and you're going to start to bring your knees side to side. So this is what we call a windshield wiper. So you can think of windshield wipers on a car, how they kind of go from one side to the other. Good. And then let's take our feet hip width apart. We're going to take our fingertips and point them forward, and we're going to lift our hips into a backwards tabletop. So you can think with tables that tables are flat, right? So you want to try and get your hips up nice and high so that your entire body and your legs are flat too. And make sure your whole foot is pushing into the floor and your whole hand from the fingertips to the heels of the hand and from the tips of the toes to the heels of the toes. And then let's take it all the way down. And let's create a butterfly shape. We're going to take the soles of the feet together. The knees are going to come down. Our hands are going to walk around and hold on to the legs. And again, think of sitting up nice and tall so that our spines are long and we feel strong. And then we're just going to flap our wings here a little bit. So drawing the knees up and then down. And notice how that feels. Where do you feel that stretch in your body? We'll do this about 5 more times. And then we're going to walk our feet just a little bit further away. Now our legs are making the shape of a diamond. Again, let's sit up nice and tall and strong and long. And let's flap our knees one more time. So just gentle stretches. Sometimes you're going to notice a big stretch, especially if your muscles or your body are a little bit tight, and sometimes it's not going to feel like much, and that's okay too. So let's keep our feet where they are. Let's stop the movement of our legs, and let's walk our hands forward just a little bit. Almost like we were trying to touch our toes towards our nose or our nose towards our toes, and I bet the kids are going to be a lot better at this than the adults. Remember that idea of getting long? And then we'll start to walk the hands back in. Good. Let's take our hands to the outside of the knees and draw the knees together. Now we're going to come into a different type of tabletop position. So this is kind of like the other tabletop position that we were doing, only this time we're going to be facing down towards the floor. So from here, let's practice with balancing a little bit. This is a great one for adults too. So let's extend that right leg back. Good. Keep your toes tucked under. And then we'll draw the knee in. See if you can touch your toes towards your knee and then reach it back out. Let's do that 3 more times. 1, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze it in, get tight, and then send it out. 2 more. Squeeze it in, nose to knee, reach it out. And then last one, squeezing it in, feeling strong, reaching your foot out, and then bringing it back down. And we'll get ready for the other side. So extend the other leg back, reach it back, push through the heel as though you were trying to touch something behind you. And then draw the knee in, squeeze the knee towards the nose, reach it out. Let's do that 3 more times. We're going to squeeze it in, really, really strong. Good. We have 2 more to go. You're doing great. Squeeze it in, nose to knee, reach it out, get long, and then last one. Squeezing it in, reaching it out. Nice. We're going to come into a child's pose. I guess maybe this is how some kids might sit or sleep. I'm not sure why it's called child's pose, but we're going to take our toes together. We're going to send our knees apart and then push our hips back towards our heels, and then just let your upper body and your head ragdoll forward. So your forehead is supported on the ground. Your arms are resting. And we're going to count 2 nice deep full breaths here. So again, we're trying to breathe through our nose if we can, because it helps to relax the body. And then let's lift our hips and let's come into a puppy stretch. So now our knees are right underneath of our hips. We're going to walk our hands forward and we're going to take a stretch just like a puppy would stretch in the morning. So it's not just puppies that stretch this way. My kitty cat stretches this way in the morning too. So your forehead is resting on the floor and you're pushing into the palms of your hands. And then you'll walk your hands back. And we're going to come into downward facing dog. So let's tuck our toes under, and you're just going to push your hips back. Keep your knees bent to start, almost like you were about to hop forward. And then we're going to straighten our legs. Keep your hips moving back, and then we'll do that again. So bend your knees nice and deep, just like you were about to hop forward, and then straighten out your legs. Bend your knees one more time, nice and deep. Keep your hips moving back, and then we're actually going to start to hop towards the top of our mat. And then we'll come into what we call a standing forward fold. So the legs are kind of straight. If your legs are tight, if you have tight muscles, you can bend your knees a little bit, and the upper body is just hanging forward. We're kind of like a Raggedy Ann doll. The head is heavy. And then really, really slowly, we're going to start to stand all the way up. But do it nice and slow and let your head come up last. Okay. So now let's play with balancing a little bit more, because balancing is fun. Let's reach the hands up, take the right leg out towards the right side, and then we'll take the right leg back in, bend the knees, curl into a little ball, tuck your chin in, and then we'll lift all the way up. Take the left leg out, reach the hands, and then we'll come back down. So we're going to do one more each side, just like that. Stand up nice and tall, reach the arms out, lift that leg nice and high, and then planting it back down. Come all the way in, round in. Notice how that feels kind of quiet. And then we'll get big again. Lots of energy here, spread it out. Maybe your fingertips are nice and wide, and then come back down. So look down at your feet, and you want to have your feet about the same distance as your hips. So you don't want to have your feet together, and you don't want to have them too wide. So your feet are right underneath your hips, and your toes are pointing forward. From here, we're going to lift our heels, reach our hands up, get nice and long. Imagine like there was something on the ceiling that you were trying to touch. And then we're going to come back down, hands to hips, lift your toes. Okay, one more time each way. Hands up, lift the heels, reach up, get nice and tall. Come back down, put your hands on your hips, lift your toes. Woo! And then toes back down. All right, so now we've played with balancing a little bit. We've got more used to it and we're strong. So we're going to come into our tree pose here. So with our tree pose, we're going to take one leg and walk it up the other. So now my foot is on my other leg. My knee is pointing out to the side. So the only place I don't want you to have it is don't have your one foot on your other knee. Okay, so we're either going to have it below our knee, or we're going to take that foot and bring it all the way up. So now our leg and our foot are pushing together. So the bottom of our tree, the roots of our tree are nice and strong. And then let's make some branches. And your branches can look so many different ways, right? Think of trees out in nature, and all trees look a little bit different. So you can play around with how you want the branches of your tree to look. And if you're wobbly, that's okay. It's just kind of like the tree blowing in the wind. And when we wobble, we get strong. Now, if this is really easy for you, if it's easy for you to balance, what I want you to do is close your eyes, and it's going to get harder, and you might even fall out, but that's okay. Because we're going to bring our hands, our branches back down, and we're going to take our leg, keep the knee lifted, but turn it forward, and let your foot hang. And let's just do some circles with the ankle one way, and then we'll do some circles the other way. And then we're going to put that foot down, and we're just going to close our eyes for a couple of seconds and notice how that feels different in your body from one side to the other. So one foot and one leg is going to feel different. For me, my standing leg feels heavy and my other leg feels light. Okay, let's come to the other side. So we're going to walk our other foot up the leg. We're going to find where we want it to be as long as it's not on the knee. And then we're going to push our legs together nice and strong. This knee is turning out towards the side, and we might wobble here, and that's okay. We might fall over, and if we do, we just come back in, and then we find our branches. So you notice that when we find our branches, it feels better for our branches to be in one position. So find wherever it feels good for your branches to be. And then if you want, you're going to close your eyes, do a little bit of wobbling. And if you're still in tree, if you haven't fallen out, let's take our branches down. And then we're all going to meet with our knee pointing forward and our leg hanging so that we can do those circles. Circling the opposite direction. And then putting that foot down, we'll close our eyes again just for a couple of seconds. Notice how both sides kind of feel the same now. Good. And then take your hands, put them on your legs with the palms facing in and the fingertips facing down. And slowly, you're going to take your fingertips towards your toes. Let your upper body come forward, and we're going to come back into that standing forward fold. And you want to make sure that your neck is nice and loose and that you're not holding tension. So it's like the whole weight of your head is like a bowling ball, and the top of your head is reaching down to the floor. From here, we're going to start to bend into our knees, and our hips are going to come all the way back down to the floor. And then you can grab your blanket or your stuffed animal. And we're going to finish with a couple of breaths with our eyes closed. And you can either lay down on the floor, kind of like you're about to fall asleep, or you can sit up, kind of like we started, just with one leg in front of the other. And again, if it's comfortable, you're just going to close your eyes. And as you breathe nice and deep and slow through your nose, what I want you to do is just count those breaths. We're just going to be here a little bit longer, so keep counting your breaths. Breathing in and out through your nose. And then on your next breath out, you're going to just breathe out through your mouth, maybe with a little bit of a sigh. So we'll take a deep breath in through the nose. And then we'll sigh it out. Let's start to wiggle our toes and our fingers. Maybe our wrists and our ankles. And you can do this if you're laying down or if you're sitting. And then we're going to find some way to stretch our bodies nice and long, almost like you are waking up for the first time today. And then if you're laying down, you're going to roll onto one side. And then come and sit with me, so facing towards the computer screen or the phone. Thank you so much for doing some stretching with me today. I was so happy to be here with you all, and I hope that you are staying well. Oh, one more thing that I wanted to do before we finish is I wanted you to think about what that word was. So what was your word that was describing how you felt at the start of our yoga class today? See if you can remember that word. And then take one word to describe how you're feeling now. So is it the same word as before? Or does how you feel, has it changed? Does it feel different? So what one word would you use to describe how you feel right now? If you're with others, you can share that word. And then we'll take our hands together, push our palms together. That's just a nice way to seal out our practice. We're going to think about one thing that we're grateful for, one thing that we're thankful for. And it could be for a person or an animal or something. So just think about whatever it is that you're really thankful for. What is it that makes you happy? Well, I hope to see you again maybe later this week or sometime next week. Namaste, yogis.